femininity and why it only seems to be accepted, at least in American culture, when it is small. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes written down. And what I mean is for women who are taller or have larger features, like myself, I have large feet. In school, I was told I was manly, all the things that larger women are told, publicly, but privately, those are the things that people tend to want. And I want to make mention that men aren't the only ones who do this. Women do it to other women as well. I've seen comments on some posts like, dang, who wears a size 11 or whatever the case may be. And it's like, there are women like myself out here who have larger feet. And that's why I push the big feet baddie content, because just because we have larger feet does not mean we're not feminine, that we're not women, so on and so forth. Um, I want to get to the deeper issue as to why that tends to bother people. Like, why are women who are larger, for lack of a better term, deemed more masculine? It's kind of weird. And I find that from my work in the fetish world, that is what's desired. Men's obsession with female wrestlers and things. It's like the two things don't add up. What happens publicly and what happens privately does not add up. Um, um, just Sunday night while I was on live, a guy came in and asked, "Was I a woman?" And I'm like, "Yeah." You know, that's happened so much across my 30, almost 38 years in this world. Why must women who are larger prove that they are women? Y'all don't act. I've never seen, and I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I've never seen a woman who has smaller stature, smaller features, whatever, be questioned about whether or not she's a woman. Um, I'll use the example of Meg the Stallion. I believe I made a video about that. I'll try to, in the replay, tag the original video with this so you can go back and watch it. But people are always talking about how she's a man, she's manly, and all the things. It's like she's just tall. She's just a tall woman. I don't get why us women who are taller, like I said, have larger features, are deemed masculine. It's really weird, but yet at the same time, we're the ones that y'all are really desiring. Hello. So why does society do that? And like I say, even when it comes to women fussing with each other, let you be taller than her. You're like, oh, that's why you look like a man with your big ass, something to that effect. Or you manly, you built like a boy, whatever the case may be, whatever they think is gonna make you feel bad about yourself. I can't help it if I'm tall. I can't help it if I have large feet. Like that's beyond my control. Why is femininity why is femininity associated with being smaller? That just doesn't make sense to me. Again, like I said, I've never seen a woman who was smaller in stature be questioned about whether or not she's a woman. I've never seen her be saying, "Oh, you look manly." It's just I've never seen it happen. So it's just a weird phenomenon to me, I suppose. Again, for me in my personal experience, this goes all the way back to middle school. You look like a boy. I'm just tall. I'm muscular because I was an athlete. It's I those are beyond my control. I can't help that. It's weird, but yet y'all love Amazons. Oh no. Make it make sense. Um you have a great day as well. Oh yeah, it's even things too because you're larger or taller. I bet you can fight. I bet you're good at wrestling, even by playing sports. It's like, no, just because I'm larger doesn't mean I'm more athletic. That it's just always been weird to me. Now, for my personal experience, this has happened a lot recently. Again, because I make big feet baddie content, trying to find shoes for women with larger feet like myself. And oftentimes people are like, "Your feet don't look like they're that big," and it's like, well, what are my feet supposed to look like? I absolutely have large feet. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, I that's beyond my control. I can't help that I have large feet, you know. But again, why do we as a society, Americans specifically, I'm speaking specifically to Americans, why do we associate smaller features with being more womanly? If I'm dainty, I'm more feminine. That just doesn't quite make sense to me. And even with men, on the flip side, if a man is short or small, he's always talked about or being girly. It's so weird how American society works, in my opinion. Why is small and dainty associated with being feminine, and why is large and taller associated with being masculine? It's weird. Um, I know. Why won't you open up? Thank you. Um, Another thing, this happens to me often. I have to verify whether or not I'm a woman, which is weird. Why do larger women have to confirm with you whether or not we're women? I've not seen in my 30, almost 30 years I've never seen y'all as smaller women. Are you a woman? You can never tell. That it's so weird. I've never seen it happen. Not saying that it doesn't. And I want to go back to the point that women also police other women. It's happened to me so much. Let a woman find out a man that she's interested in is also interested in you, and that's when it comes the, oh, she manly, she this, she's that. And it's like, right, it's so weird. I don't understand why people associate being tall or even being in shape, because back in the day I was more muscular, I was more toned, I took better care of myself, with being masculine. And I'm sorry that the guy that you're interested in is interested in me. Why must you degrade me and my womanhood, I guess, to defend why he's not interested in you? It's such a weird thing that occurs in American society. And I've noticed men who publicly do this with women, oh, she's manly, are the main ones whacking off in private to those large, women. And I know this due to my experience in the fetish world. It's so weird. Um It's definitely a double standard because again, it happens to men who are smaller, shorter, all the things. They make fun and poke fun at them as well. But I want us as a society to get to the bottom of why that is. Why is small associated with being feminine and large associated with being masculine? Because I am very much a woman. I've birthed 3 children. It's not that birthing children makes you a woman, but I'm definitely a woman. I'm just taller. My feet are bigger, my hands are a little bit larger, but I'm definitely a woman. I come from a lineage of tall women. My mom's 5'10". I think my grandmother's 5'10". My sister is 5'10". My dad is 5'11", 6 feet somewhere up in there. Like, I come from a tall family. All my uncles are tall. I just come from a family of tall people. Well, I'm glad you've never experienced that, but it definitely happens, and I see it a lot on TikTok as well. You can be reading somebody's comments, and I'm like, whoa, that's offensive as hell. Why would you ask her that? Again, like I said, somebody came in my live just Sunday and asked it, and I was like, what's wrong with you? It's such a weird thing to me. And like I said, I'll keep referencing. Oh, y'all remember when Sierra was deemed a hermaphrodite and all the things? It's like, why is a taller woman deemed to be a man? Make it make sense. That is so weird as to why people do that. And they can't even tell you why they make the assumption that you're a man or you're more masculine. Um, I agree. I think that the men who tend to ask that have to question their sexuality because they have dibbled and dabbled in some things that have nothing to do with me, and that's fine. But don't question me as to whether or not I'm a woman. But y'all, it happens so much. It does. And I'll keep referencing when I'm scrolling TikTok and I find other women like myself. And I'm reading the comments. It's like y'all are offensive as hell. But I know this. I've never had anybody say it to my face. It's always been some slick slide shit because I'll beat your ass. But um, why do women who take up space have to be punished? I guess for lack of a better term, publicly. You know, make that make sense. Make it make sense. Because I'm tall, I gotta be manly. Because I'm tall, I gotta be into women. Like, it's so strange. And I remember in high school, because I did play basketball, it was assumed that I was a lesbian. I'm like, dog, I just like playing basketball. I'm sorry. But why does our womanhood come into question because we're taller or maybe a bit larger? And the craziest part of it all to me is I'm not even that tall. I'm only 5'8". Only 5'8". I've been 5'8" since I was like 9. Yeah, I think about 9 years old was when I reached my height and I stayed there. So I'm not even that tall. Right. It's like little women can be masculine too, which I, to be quite honest, I have seen more masculine women who were smaller than me, but whatever, you guys. It's just, I don't understand why American society, because I'm going to speak on American society because I'm an American and I can't speak for any other cultures, but it's definitely a thing. And I can't say whether or not it's a thing in other cultures as for or ethnicities rather when it comes to like black, white, Asian. But I definitely know in the black community it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. Are you Sierra as the reference I make the stallion? It's so weird because she's tall, she's a man. Oh, she's to be a man. That's a man. Like, no. She's just a tall woman. She's just a woman who takes up space. And that's okay. I'm sorry that my size and stature makes you feel some kind of way about yourself. You need to go check that. Not me. You feel me? But again, it's so weird. And I'll go back to the me. I make big feet baddie content. I get this comment so much on my content. Those are man feet. And I'm like, they're definitely not. My feet aren't ugly. They definitely aren't manly. They're just larger than the average woman, which I'm starting to question that because I find that more and more women have larger feet than we realize. You know, Nonetheless, femininity comes in all sizes, all shapes, all the things. So stop telling taller women, larger women, more muscular women that they are manly because that's not always the case. More than likely, it's not the case. We just happen to take up more space. That is it. That is all. I cannot help that. I came from a gene pool where the women are a bit larger than the average. It's the slick slide comments. Oh, you got some big old feet. Bitch, I know. I know. I'm very well aware of that fact. You're not telling me anything I don't know. Again, like I said, when I was in shape lifting weights, oh, you muscular, you manly. But you in my DM trying to talk to me. And I find that too, if you reject the man who's interested, then you become, oh, that's why you look like a man. Sir, you are just trying to take me down. And now because I've rejected you now I'm manly, that doesn't make sense. you know. But anyway, enough about that. We need to come up with some solutions on how to stop people from associating femininity with being small and masculine with being larger. Because even one of my great grands, I can't remember which one, she was a larger woman and her husband was little. He was a little man. He was like 5'5", 5'6", and she was about 6 feet tall. You know, this stuff isn't new. It's not uncommon. I personally have no issues dating men who are shorter. I'm not dating now because I'm married, but I've dated shorter men, I've dated taller men, and I've never had an issue. You know, it seems to be men who have an issue when it comes to the height. I don't know. I think that's something internal that they may need to work on. But that's definitely not on us. We cannot help the fact that we are tall or that we have larger features, That's above me. I can't go and edit that, you know. Excuse me. But I don't know. Has anybody had that issue? Nobody's in the live, so we'll talk to the everybody in the live replay. If you're a woman with the larger features or you're taller, have you been called masculine? Has your womanhood been questioned because you're a larger woman? It's such a weird thing, you know. And listen, let me tell you, as a woman who's tall, when it comes to athletics, I make pretty large children. So y'all need to think about that when y'all want to make these athletes. You should probably get you a larger woman if you want your children to be athletes, but that's a different conversation for a different day. My issue is with femininity being associated with being small. Oh, she's 5'5", 5'6". That's a woman right there. I'm also a woman. I'm just tall. I'm just tall. But anyway, enough about that. I want to get to talking to about these brands and why they tend to not make shoes for us larger feet women either. Mm. It's really, really hard to find shoes as a woman with larger feet. I range between 11 and 12, depending on the brand. And the shoes that they do make in our size be ugly as hell. Like, come on, I'm a woman. I don't want these fugly potato shoes. Like, I need these brands to get it together, and I think that too plays into the femininity aspect that American culture tends to have. That women with smaller feet get more variety in shoes because it's more feminine, whereas us women with larger feet get those fugly shoes because it's more masculine. But something's definitely happening with the brands, and I need y'all to recognize, get off that larger women like cute things too. Just because I am larger doesn't make me any less of a woman, you know? So I don't know. Maybe somebody out there has the answers. I would like if other women would chime in and give their testimonials, if you will, and their experience with this. Because, like I said, I first started experiencing it in about sixth, seventh grade. No, actually, it was seventh grade. I remember the first incident. It kind of took me aback, and again, it progressed from there. It really took off in college because, again, it would be when a man showed interest in me, the girl who was interested in him. Oh, you manly. She's big. She's so this. She's so that. Mm, just because I'm taller doesn't make me any less of a woman than you. But you know, whatever. I have about 12 more minutes to push through on my live. If you guys are new here, thank you for tuning in. Am I Beyonce? No, I'm not Beyonce. Um, but again, I'm Sarah. I'm an advocate for women with larger feet because shoe manufacturers and brands and anybody involved in the process of creating shoes always leave us out. I wear a women's 11, 12, and yeah, things get real questionable once you get beyond the size 10 when it comes to shoes. It's like, who wants these potato shoes? I want heels. I want cute shoes too. Just because my feet are big does not mean I cannot have cute shoes. So, yes. um, I want to get into why men will publicly say, "Oh, she's manly," but then y'all obsess over female wrestlers. I see this so much. I'm like, what? What is wrong with you? I watch you publicly talk about how women are so masculine. They're so this, they're so that, but y'all love female wrestlers. I know why, because again, I exist in a space beyond this. I make I've dipped and dabbled in fetish content. So I get the why y'all are into this, but why publicly shame something that you're secretly into? And that's not even when it comes to larger women. I find with anything, like people, white people, they publicly shame what they're actually into, and in private, they're all for it, which doesn't make sense to me. But if my phone is on do not disturb, how are people still texting me and whatnot? Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Um, why does femininity have to look one way? Why does it have to be packaged into this small package to be feminine? I am one of the most girliest women I know. I like all the things associated with being girly, you know. And I found that in the past, because of the comments that people would make, I would tend to shrink myself or not want to go places because I just wanted to avoid the comments of being called masculine because I'm tall, you know. It's so crazy. Um, but anyway, that's pretty much it for this live. I know the replay will be up for a while. You guys can comment, share your experiences with being a tall woman and how people will talk to you like you're crazy. Thank you. Um, it's it's a thing, and I think we need to address this as a society. Why tall women tend to get the short end of the stick, you know? Just because I'm bigger than you doesn't mean I'm more masculine, because I'm definitely not. I'm standing up now. I'm standing. Because if I sit, I won't be as productive. I find that it's a weird thing. If I sit down to do anything, it won't get done. Weird, I know. But yeah, why is that a thing? You know, I still have 6 minutes to yap on this here live. And anyway, again, if you don't know, I'm Sarah. I'm the self proclaimed advocate for women with larger feet and tall women. No, I cannot. You're not going to get to see how tall I am. You can check out my content. Um, but I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'8", which is the crazier part, but it's taller than the average. But again, I make content for the big feet baddies. Yay, because we need representation too. We like cute shoes. We like all the things. I want to be trendy with my fashions as well. I don't want to wear flats all the time. But yes, we should look at why, as a society, we associate smallness with femininity and largeness with masculinity. And again, it happens with men on the reverse. If a man is short or small or skinny or frail, I don't know, whatever words are used to describe small men, it's associated with them being girly. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with nothing. I know that is the goal ultimately, but I have to be more consistent in posting my content. So that's why we're doing this, because I'm working on the consistency, you know. um right, yeah. Crazy thing is, I met a girl. She was like 5'4", 5'5", and she wore an 11. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so small, but your feet are so large." And I was just like, "Do you want to swap feet? Because I'm 5'8", and we couldn't swap feet. We were the same size, but it was just so weird that she was so short in stature, but her feet were so large." Um, so again, like, our foot size has nothing to do with height, I don't think. Yeah, it's crazy. And even my mom's former best friend, she was shorter and had larger feet. She wore an 11. I remember that because she would give me some of her old shoes. So your height kind of has nothing to do with your shoe size. But more often than not, us taller women have larger feet. I wear an 11, 12, depending on the brand. And even with that, that can be limiting because most brands don't cater to women with larger size feet. And if they do, the shoes are fugly. they just frumpy and just like, ew, what is this? I don't want this, or we're stuck wearing sneakers. So it's just that's why I'm doing this because I need people to know that we want cute shoes too. I don't want to be wearing a dress with sneakers or some flats just because my feet are large, you know. But yeah, that ultimately having my own shoe line is the goal. But first things first, we got to get my face out there. So, hi, I'm Sarah, the unofficial spokesperson for women with larger feet. Thank you for being here. um, yeah, so tell anybody you know that has larger feet about me. Because I'm trying to help us out here. So, yes, I'm going to go ahead and in the live. You guys can still comment on the video once it's posted in the replay. Feel free to ask me questions. I don't mind. And until next time.